So first, I want to talk about the history of VR. So some of us may remember back in the 90s, it kind of made this big oncoming in the entertainment industry, and then it died out pretty quickly after that. And there's a couple of reasons that it did die out at that time. Some of it was just lacking the guest experience and technology. It just wasn't quite there yet. A lot of people had the vision for it, but there just wasn't the technology to back up that vision. There's also, because of where the technology was, it was a really high cost to purchase and operate that. And so the economies of scale there and the ROI just wasn't quite there for people to be successful with it. And it was just a pretty low throughput and efficiency attraction, which is difficult to do in today's world. So VR is making a resurgence, right? And so there have been questions at times of, today is the resurgence, is this going to be a fad, right? Is this going to go away like it did in the 90s? And are we kind of doomed to repeat that same fate? So what I want to talk about is today's VR is very different. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, just the technology that's available is far superior than what we saw back in the 90s. And the game availability that's there and then the quality of the games far surpasses what we saw before. There's a much more reasonable cost for you to purchase and to be able to get that ROI in a time that makes it profitable for you at your center. And there's a lot of different options at different sizes at the moment, which we're going to get into here in just a moment in our next slide. And one of the things I did also want to mention is when a couple of years ago, which is crazy that it's a couple of years ago at this point, when COVID first came on, there was a fear for some amongst the industry of what's going to happen after COVID with VR. Are customers going to be comfortable putting a headset on their face, right? There's this kind of very intimate way of using that technology. And what has come to pass is that wasn't really a fear with a whole lot of grounding, right? We've seen across the board in many different kinds of facilities in many different regions across the United States and in multiple countries. VR is doing extremely well. And a lot of people that we talk to and a lot of our clients in VR and in all of their other product categories are having record weeks and record months now. And so it's one of those things I did want to make sure I shared because there was that kind of that fear is, oh no, what's going to happen? But it ended up not being a concern for most customers, and it's making plenty of money for operators all over the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass this. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this slide was going to go to Russ. I have one more I wanted to cover. So we've got a couple different categories of VR: arcade, hybrid, and free roam. Mm-hmm. Now, as we get further along into this presentation, you'll start to see there's a couple nuances and there's a couple layers to the onion, but this is the simplest way initially to break them down. Mm-hmm. And so like we kind of mentioned at the beginning, there's no one size fits all when it comes to VR. It's not just put this one thing in your facility and it's a success, right? You've got arcade, hybrid, and free roam, and we're going to talk about the implications of those and the pros and cons and examples of those in just a minute here. And there's a lot of product options within each of these categories and formats. And what we're doing today is trying to equip you with the knowledge and tools necessary to understand how these work and understand what is going to be the best fit for your facility. And one other thing that I will mention is a lot of times we get a question from operators of, well, which VR should I choose? And for a lot of facilities, it's not actually a question of which one, it's how many. Because you have so many different categories and different size options that offer a completely different experience to your guest, many operators all over the country and all over the world are doing multiples in different categories to find the right mix that makes sense for them.